Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and I've kept it off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and maintenance. Today we're going to talk about what it's like dating, or if you should date when you're losing your weight. Now before I begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the ClarityFM link found here in the episode notes. Also check out my website, naturopathicearth.com, which has 600 recipes and articles that might help you. Check out my 2 books. And if you appreciate my content, there is a link for PayPal. Also, don't forget my podcast, The Awakened Man and Confessions of an Obese Child. All right, so this episode does have to be kind of general and vague because some of you might be married, some of you might be inveterate bachelors who never want to marry, or bachelorettes. Some of you are young, some of you are old, some of you, there's a wide variety of people who could potentially watch this evergreen channel. And so I do need to be a little general, but let's say, and look, some of you have lost the weight and trying to keep it off. Some of you are at the beginning of that journey and haven't lost any weight or little weight. So I'll give more advice as you're overweight still and you're wanting to date because you want to get married or you want to have children or do both. What should you do with dating? Well, look, when I was overweight, and this was a long time ago, and I was in high school, women didn't give me the time of day. Now, at the time, I was upset by that and thought, oh, women are shallow. But then, as I've mentioned before, even when I was fat, all my crushes were regular weighted women. So how can I get mad at them for not liking me? And I think it's important to have that perspective if you're overweight and you are wanting to date. You should not be getting mad at men or women who don't want to date you because you're overweight. So you need to get away from that trigger response. That's more of the kind of the loser mentality. Well, I can't, everyone's shallow, that's why I can't get women. Now, you can't get women, or you can't get women because you're an overweight guy. And if you're a woman, you can't get a man because you're overweight. Let's be real. Let's call a spade a spade. I can't stand cognitive dissonance. Let's be real. You're having problems getting the opposite sex because you're fat. Maybe among other issues, but you're fat. So don't get mad at other people for that. And just because you're fat doesn't mean you can't get somebody. Maybe they're not going to be as handsome, Brad Pitt circa 1997, but you could find somebody. It's not like overweight people don't marry or are together, like the CBS show Mike and Molly with Melissa McCarthy will tell you. But look, if you feel like you deserve a certain stratum of man or woman, and you realize on online dating or wherever that you're not attracting this certain level of man or woman, then you need to look in the mirror. And instead of blaming them for being shallow, it's because you're fat. Look at your crushes. Girls, you don't have a crush on Louis Anderson from the 80s. You probably have a crush on Chris Hemsworth. Is he fat? No. So once you introspect and realize that you should just be intellectually honest with yourself, then at that point, what are you going to do about it? Well, I would tell you probably the best thing to do is just go into hibernation mode. And kind of like the Count of Monte Cristo, Edmond Dantes, if you don't know that classic Alexandre Dumas novel, how he's improperly accused of committing a crime, and he's thrown in prison by these 3 men. And when he's in prison, through a series of events, he ends up finding money and takes on a new persona. And then the rest of the novel is about him exacting revenge on the men that put him in jail. So I would tell you to kind of do an Edmond Dantes and go hibernate. And we talked about recently on the episode motivation. Find your motivation. Lose the weight. Start losing the weight. And while you're losing the weight, good time to go through my Reflections of a Weight Loss Warrior playlist. Because if you've been overweight your whole life, it's probably going to be difficult, and you're not going to blink one day and be like, hey, I'm regular weighted, cool, I have no baggage from when I was fat. No, it's probably not going to be that way. So while you're losing the weight, I would, trust me, and save the years that I took to get to this road, use that time to get rid of all the psychological and emotional baggage that you have from being fat. Because once you lose the weight, many times you're a regular weighted person. You're a fat person in a regular weighted person's body. You have imposter syndrome, and these are episodes that we have here. So I would work on that and like go away for a little while. You know what? When the girls would unexpectedly get pregnant in the old days, they'd be sent to their aunt for like 2 years, and they'd have the baby and then come back, and no one would know any better. It's kind of the same thing. I would recommend that is lose the weight and don't be on dating sites, dating circles. I just don't recommend it. I just think as it is, online dating is the most popular way to meet people, but it's not that efficient, especially if you're a man. And there's just so much undulations of vicissitudes emotionally that you go through when you're on these things. And I just think it's best focus on what's the most important thing at this point, which is losing the weight. Then when you lose the weight, why concomitantly you are working on purging yourself of the psychological and emotional baggage. Then once you get to a weight that you feel more comfortable and you know you can attract better quality people, then reveal yourself back on the dating pools or on the dating circles, or if they still do speed dating, because you'll feel more confident, you'll attract a better quality of people, and hopefully if you've been doing on the psychological and emotional work, you won't have as many insecurities and baggage and so forth. And specifically if you're a man too, a lot of fat guys are not the most masculine men, and you're not the most confident men, because understandably. And so while you're in that Edmund Dantes mode in hibernation, working on your masculinity. Stop being a nice guy, stop being the people pleaser, and be more masculine. So when you roll out with the newer physique, you're also going to have a more masculine outlook, and that's going to attract women, because women want masculine men. And I would say the same thing for you women. It's a little different though, but if you have any like kind of butch tomboy bitchy tendencies, men don't like that. Women need to be feminine, and part of being feminine is having the feminine qualities of kindness, coyness, sweetness, and so forth. So while you're losing the weight, work on these kind of psychological archetypes, and then when you come back, you'll just have better luck. That's just my advice. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I'd love to hear from you. How have you dated when you were overweight? Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Until next time, take care, God bless, and pray.